So, hello everybody. Welcome to Mind, Body, and Soul Singing, where I help singers like you and me too obtain physical, emotional, and spiritual freedom in our voices. And welcome to my Muscle Tension Dysphonia Recovery Series, where I chat with beautiful people in recovery with their muscle tension dysphonia. And so I'd love to introduce everybody to my amazing friend Lia. And Lia, we're so excited to hear about your really inspiring story, and even talking to you today. Your energy has shifted so much. Like I think the last time we talked, we were in the Zoom with was it Christina?
Christina, you and Christina helped me so much. I'll definitely speak to that.
Yeah, and you just seemed so the energy just so depressed, and I don't see that anymore. And uh, take it away. Let us know.
Hey, Liz, first of all, you are amazing. Anyone listening here for the first time, you helped me. Maybe you and Christina helped me more than anyone, and your videos are incredible. And this community needs way more people like you who've experienced muscle tension dysphonia, are now singing and just powerful and healing and learning. So thank you so much. My name is Leah Gurin. And yeah, I suffered with, or maybe sometimes still do, but I think I'm pretty much recovered from muscle tension dysphonia. I lost my voice in 2021, shortly after starting a new sales job, which is a career I was really proud of for many years. And it has been a long healing journey of trying different things, learning, reading various books. And you're totally right that my energy was way off when we met, and I'm feeling much, much better today. So, woo!
That's amazing. And like, how did you get where you are now? Like, you don't have to give us every detail, but what can you bring us through the timeline a little bit and let
Yeah,
me?
so I lost my voice in 2021. And it was after or during a hard period, I would say, for the universe. I would say, as with many of you, the pandemic definitely affected me quite a bit socially, mentally. There's a lot going on with politics. So I do wonder what the forces of the world had to do with what happened to me and others as well. Uh, and yeah, I had some really good periods before, which was really confusing to me. I had a very good job in 2021, and I responsibly got my vaccine as soon as I could. I quit my job. I spent a few weeks in Hawaii. Then I spent a few weeks in Vegas, Utah, California. Like, I was living my best self after over a year of sitting at home and doing what we all did. And while I was in Vegas, a friend of mine convinced me to take a job, which was like a little bit of like a setback in my career. And I took it, and I kind of knew going into it that it was wrong for me. So as I try to identify like what's one of the things that led to this, I think it was like me finally living in like my best self and in alignment, and then like going back. So a lot of the things that helped was just self-reflection, speaking to other amazing people like you, meditation, which I was really good at doing it before. I do think spirituality is something like you really need to keep up with, and it's not like one of those things like I meditated like 2 years ago, so I'm good. I think like really keeping up with this, making it a big part of your life, journaling, Reiki, really good books by John Sarno, which I'd love to talk about. I think you've read the,
Yeah,
about the back
that's the
healing.
TMS, neurological pain.
Yes, and you sent me like a really good link to a TMS program that I believe was about 3 weeks long that I did every single day that helped me connect with others and get more clarity about what's going on. And in Massachusetts, I mean, this is my first time ever experiencing this to this extent. I had lost my voice, I think, for like 2 weeks, which feels like nothing at this point, in 2013 when I was living in New York. And I'm not sure that there's enough of an understanding around this. And locally in Massachusetts, like I to this day, like if like things happen again, I still don't think there's a good avenue for people to get help. Like I had to change my insurance to see the right people. So having that community online and then you referring me to someone, Christina, and helping me yourself as well, who I ended up paying out of pocket with like money I like barely had because I lost my job because of this, was definitely big, and just feeling understood and connecting with, heart and soul people,
Yeah.
who get
And for
it.
people out there who don't know, Christina is a speech therapist, and she used to work online, helping people like under a different title. Like she didn't call it speech therapy, just because of legal issues. But I think now she's working in a hospital again, so she's not available online. But I'll link her if she still has a website. I'll put it in the description. But it's just speech therapy, so having a speech therapist is, I think, one crucial component of, getting our voices back. Like, did you feel like the speech therapy helped you and was one of the components to healing your voice?
Yeah, with her it did, and she's located in Miami, so maybe there's something available there, for those who might be listening from Florida. I saw the same guy who helped, I think it was like Steven Tyler from Aerosmith,
Was that
Adele.
Mass General? I saw
Yes,
him
at Mass
too.
General.
Dr. Burns?
Dr. Burns, he retired this year. Um, it didn't really get me there, but I do think that's one of the better programs for people in Massachusetts. Before that, I was at Beth Israel. I went through three speech therapists that just didn't get it, didn't take it very seriously, and asked me the same kind of vanilla questions about just things I didn't relate to and I didn't feel caused my voice issues. So finding the right one is still challenging, but I hope it gets easier. Are you still thinking about doing speech therapy for people, or are you doing it, Liz?
No, just because I'm an entrepreneur at heart and
Yeah.
I can't. It's a long story, but I'm doing things my way because I just
Yeah.
feel like there's just a lot of red tape involved in becoming a speech therapist. So I
Yeah.
do help people in that realm, but I'm not a speech therapist.
You
But
do.
it's so interesting. Like I'm talking to people about their recovery, and it seems like most everyone has to go through many speech therapists until they find the right one. And for me, Dr. Burns was the one that did help. Dr. Burns diagnosed me correctly for the first time after two ENTs that just kept saying, I have acid reflux and diet won't help and things like I'm old. I was 27, so my voice isn't resilient anymore. I'm like, that isn't
What?
right.
You're a
It's like,
baby, 27.
I'm 37 now, and I feel like my voice is like at the prime. It's like better and better every year. So I just chose to not believe in that information, thank God. And then I went to Mass General and I worked with, I'm forgetting her name, but I'll link her in the description. I'll find her. She's a great speech therapist for singers. So, and I felt like the difference was what you were mentioning was feeling the sense of like, not community, but like, yeah, the sense of connection. And like, she really cared about me. And like, I felt the love that like I didn't feel in the other offices. I would literally like break down crying and just feel like it was in this cold, dark place and no one could help me or understand me. And they didn't really care to, is how I felt.
Yeah.
But with Mass General, they had like a week by week program. They said you have to commit to this, come in every week. And I talk about my feelings. I just felt like they were very, you know, just incorporating more maybe spiritual elements or just more love and more care.
I
So
love
for me,
that.
that helped a lot, but it wasn't the only part that fixed my voice. So.
Yeah, and I have heard they have other really great people there, so no doubt. And I think being heard, because I do think part of it may have been physical, but I think a lot of physical things come from your mind and mental things, and you hear stories all the time about people healing themselves from serious diseases with a different outlook, with a different mindset. And I think the spiritual element was huge for me. we were talking about Reiki before this call. My Reiki teacher, Lia and I, she's incredible. And she was the first person who wasn't like I think she dug in deeper about what was going on with my voice issues, and she's not a certified therapist. However, I feel like I have gotten more value from her than I might have from certain therapists, just because she leaned into understanding what was underneath the hood, what was going on, and she kept reassuring me that my voice will come back. And I could barely communicate with her, like it was really bad. So at the beginning, she was just doing a lot of work on me. And then as things very gradually improved, like I became more and more open to talking. But I do think I made it harder on myself. And let me know if you relate to this. I feel like when I started identifying with someone who has a voice condition, I just like at some point, and I think you met me in this, I don't want to say like gave up, but it was just like physically hard to speak, and like my shoulders hurt, my neck hurt. And I am someone who's standing in line at like Whole Foods and loves to chat with people. Like a lot of people in line in front of, like I will chat up a storm. And it was really hard for me to not be able to do small things like that. My best friend was getting married in April of 2022 when I was still like healing from this. And the whole journey there, when there were certain days when we were like planning her bridal shower, and I was like, I'm sorry, Julia, her name's Julia, we have to text about this, like I can't talk to you on the phone about this important thing. And I think I was really, really hard on myself, and I think that prevented me from kind of like opening up to
Yeah.
healing faster.
It's kind of like you're stuck in sort of that chronic pain.
Yes, it
Or like,
was definitely, I think I like mentally, like not to like blame myself, but I think I like made it worse. And I think that's where I read 3 books over Audible. I listened to 3 books by John Sarno about healing back pain. It's not actually all about back pain, but he does speak about how like I forget what it was, like 5 times more people suffer from back pain than they used to like 15 years ago. And did the human back change? Are we all doing things differently? Are we just approaching it differently? And he spoke about TMS, which I definitely encourage everyone to explore. And just about, there were things like acid reflux, which I also maybe don't need to be drinking coffee, but that I also have had for years that he attributed to TMS, which I struggle understanding, but the back stuff definitely applied to the voice. And I was experiencing like back and neck pain as well. And it's really hard to say to this day, like how real it was or what was going on there. And I still don't have all the answers.
do you know what those 3 books were? Or if you don't, you could text me later and I'll put them in the description.
One is called Healing Back Pain. One is the mind body connection, right? And the third, I don't remember. I'm actually looking it up now. Those are the 2 I like the most. And it's about like healing your body, healing your mind, which is, I guess,
Yeah.
what I'm leaning into talking about today.
Yeah, we're going to rewind a little bit. You were saying that you had given up. So, and sort of just, I think giving up it is a mindset as well, or like a belief system in our mind. So we believe that we're broken and there's nothing we can do, and this is our life now. And I was in that mindset for a while, and I think also in that mindset I was resistant to what was. So every morning I'd wake up and the pain would come in and I would just be devastated every day and just like obsessing about it and just like victimizing myself. And when we're in a victim mindset, there's nowhere we can go, so we're stuck. There's nowhere, we can't move forward. If we're broken, no one can help us, we're lost cause. That's like a mindset. So how can we take action with that kind of mindset? So we kind of just stay in that place, obsessing over the pain, resisting it. And so I think for me, it was sort of a mindset shift. And I'm kind of obsessed with mindset shifting in general lately. And so
Mhm.
it's like this idea that there isn't like one answer. Like we have multiple answers that to create our reality. So one answer is, oh, my body's broken. I have like a physical problem, and this is my life now, and I reject this life. I am not going to be happy because I want to be well, and that's the only way I could be happy.
Yeah.
And so that's one mindset. And then there's one, some people do live with chronic pain, and then they actually create this mindset that's saying, you know what, I'm not going to let my chronic pain drive the bus anymore. I'm going to drive the bus, and I'm going to live a life where I'm laughing and experience joy and happiness. And it's crazy like to see these people radiating, and sort of that energy is the energy driving now, and it sort of reduces pain symptoms.
Mhm.
And I mean there's all different mindsets. So I think like my mindset shift was accepting my pain, like letting it be there, and doing the free pain program helped me with that, like kind of ignoring it and saying I'm actually going to like live a beautiful life regardless of my pain, and I'm not going to have any expectations. Like if I have to live with this pain, like let's figure this out. Like how can I actually enjoy my life? And actually like through those mindset shifts, and then just having a curious open mind, a learner's mind, is like I can heal. I'm not broken. This isn't a physical problem. The doctors have proven to me it's not physical. So what could it be? So then like looking for that TMS work. So we've talked about TMS, and I think
Mhm.
that generally just means the mind is like thinking something is unsafe, like the pain is unsafe, so it'll send signals to the brain. We're unsafe, send more pain signals here to protect us. And it's like this loop that goes around and around and around.
Yeah. Fight
And
and
so,
flight mode, I feel like it just puts you, and I think like working on the vagus nerve, the fact that you sing so much is great. And I completely like agree with the mindset shift because I'm a big like law of attraction person. I've always liked Abraham Hicks. Are you familiar with her?
yeah, she keeps coming up, but I need to actually
Okay.
like listen to her because I have the universe is really trying to get me to
You
listen to
gotta
her.
listen to her. It's
And
really,
also,
she's like a little bit like harsh in her approach, and I had to listen to her for 4, 5, 6 months. And I did this with money, where she had me visualize the exact number I wanted and kind of like see yourself having it and just picture that life. And like you said, drive the bus and not wait for something to happen for you to like be wealthy or happy or whatever, love, whatever you need. And I think that helped me a lot. And I revisited that a ton. I listened to her all the time again. And applied that to health because at the end of the day, there's nothing more important than your health. Like the rest can wait or go. And like relationships too, of course. So I think, yeah, just not letting something else control me. And I don't know, I just like never thought I would get to a place because I've never been like a victim. I'm like the cheery, like pretty, like happy, relaxed one in my like friends and family, generally. And I like got very obsessive too about my pain. And I think, I had to share it with other people because I got like let go from my job because I didn't have a voice. I was in sales. And like everyone knew what was going on with me because my best friend was getting married. So I was seeing like everyone in my life at these events, and communicating to various degrees, and family. So I think also just people being like, how's your voice? How's your voice? Like asking me over and over was hard. And it was definitely very lonely. And I think some friends definitely were like, this is weird and stepped away. And then like my closest friend Julia would uh, call me and talk to me and just like I would listen. And then my friend Jess would send me voice memos. So I had a few friends, like very important friends who helped me a lot and were patient. And my Reiki teacher, I remember as well, was like, why do you need to talk? Like you can have a good time without talking. And she was very good at just like making me accept what was going on, accept what was in the now. And this is something I think I still struggle with today. I'm trying to improve on is not putting a timeline on things, because I think every day I was like, why aren't I better today? Like, why isn't it 100% today? Um, and if you have solutions to work on that, I would love to hear it because I still don't know the whole timeline thing, but I think just like putting so much pressure on myself and the voice therapy and voice exercises, which I encourage people to like do all the time. It just was a constant reminder, and a lot of it was good and happy. I got a lot more time massages and um, time in the beach and got to spend a lot more time with myself. And I love myself. So, yeah, but it was lonely.
Yeah. Yeah, I think it's like also this is a trauma that happens to us, so it's traumatizing. And then when we actually start to use our voices again, we feel unsafe. So then
Yes.
we start
Yeah.
using the voice, and then I think the pain signals can come in. I mean, we should retrain our voices and take better care of ourselves and do all of this healing. But I think like the radical acceptance is like to let the pain come in and understand that the body just, I think, affiliates, for me, like singing or talking with like danger. So it's
Mm,
dangerous. And so it's sending pain signals there because that's how it used to be. And that's like what I know and actually what I'm looking for. Like the mind is like even looking for that.
yeah.
And then creating that sort of reality. So I've been thinking about that a lot lately as someone who like stopped going to the gym because I was like, oh, it makes my neck tight when I'm doing
Really
crunches and stuff. And like
interesting.
I'm like, oh wow, I'm actually just a traumatized person from this experience, and I'm afraid to like I'm even to this day afraid to like belt strongly, and I've noticed that within me. And then just keep telling myself like developing the education and awareness to know what's happening, and then like to do it anyways. So like I'm part of Cedardale again, this amazing gym where I'm like dancing and doing high intensity strength training workouts and like proving to myself. And if the pain actually comes in, I'm saying you can be there today because I still do have TMS and or MTD. I'm not sure if they're the same or just similar
Yeah.
conditions. It still does arise, but nowadays I just don't care. I guess is like probably the best way to describe it. And I'm like, I don't care. You can be there. That's fine. I'm going to work out. I'm going to sing, and you can be here. And that's how I manage it. Um, and I think most of the time I just don't have pain anymore as well. Like I'm talking to you now, and I don't have any vocal pain, but I do have some pain here because I have anticipation anxiety. So like before our call, I'm getting very nervous. And so for me,
No, same. I've been looking forward to this call because it's really important. I haven't publicly talked about this at all. And if anyone, I'm happy to talk with you. But I think, as I mentioned to you before we even started this, I'm like, it's one of those things that is really hard to like revisit and really important to revisit too. So I'm glad we're having this call. And I had a little bit of nerves too. For someone who doesn't get very nervous about much. Um, but yeah, the interesting thing is the body does have the ability to heal itself, and like our
that's a mindset right
cells,
there.
yeah, it does. I'll say that again. The mind has the ability, the body has the ability to heal itself, and our cells regenerate. And um, yeah, I feel like very confident. I feel much more confident that this won't happen again. Do you ever have fear around like I'm gonna lose my whole voice again, or do you feel like you're good?
Sometimes, so I it's happened twice in like September where I think I get allergies and I psych myself out. I'm like, this isn't allergies, this is like a new issue. 'Cause I tend to go back to that place at times. But I think the big difference now is that, especially with John Sarno's work, it's kind of like once you uncover and understand yourself and your situation and understand what the body is trying to do, it's kind of like trying to protect us, and it's clever. It'll try to figure out ways to, like, I had a skin condition which I'm pretty sure was TMS. Now it's gone now, but it was covering 90% of my body and I was obsessed with it. And I
Um,
was like, oh, is this TMS? I'm obsessed over it.
yeah.
um, so I completely lost my train of thought. What was the
No, I
question?
love that about John Sarno. I remember him talking about how I think that's this whole thing is that it's like neck pain 1 week, and then
Right.
like maybe your wrist hurts the next week, and it's according to him the same thing. And I think he said it was like 6 weeks is where most things max out at hurting. I forget how he worded it, but I remember like thinking like many months in, like this doesn't logically make sense that I'm having this much pain. And I will credit MGH with that too. He looked and he said, yes, I am tightening my muscles a lot when speaking, and I need to keep retraining myself to speak better. I was also like a really loud person. I'm still a bit loud, but have really worked on that and listening to myself and others more. But as soon as I heard like there's nothing, I mean, you are tightening, but it's not like you have um, like a valve or like anything terribly bad that requires surgery, it was time to, just like work on myself even more. Um,
Yeah. But I
so
remember my train of thought was, I forgot it again.
I have that effect on
Too much.
people.
Oh wait, um, ah,
It's coming. It's on its way to you.
it's like I'm an anxious person and now I'm like overthinking. So now I don't think it's going to come back because I understand what it really is. So
Okay.
I know that my
There
body
it
isn't
is.
broken, and I know that I'm a master at my voice now. Like I'm a vocal coach. I'm hungry for new information. I'm a master at my mental state. Like I got mentally ill around 13 years old. So I've been just hungry to like learn all things mental health, holistic health, voice health, how to
Mhm.
take care of myself, how to love myself. And I also have the mindset that my body is powerful and it's not broken. And I think in Western medicine, it's actually the opposite, where they think you need to come to me, the doctor, to heal. You don't know anything about your body, and your body is broken and defective, and we will help you with that, but we can't fix it. But I actually have a complete opposite mentality, which is more true. What is I know best. Of course, we need to heal in community and co-regulate and work with people to heal. But like, I think what we've done is we really have gotten to know ourselves like in a deep way, like figured out what's wrong and like in a mind, in our minds, bodies, and souls. So I
Mhm.
believe my belief and my mindset is that my body is strong and powerful, and I understand myself and my body now. And so like when I do tighten up or have some symptoms like I'm having now, like I have a headache, I have a little tightness here, I'm not scared anymore. That's another huge part of it. I'm not afraid. So
Yeah.
like through the free pain program that you mentioned, that 3 week program, I'll link it below. It helped take away the fear that just adds this huge layer of pain on top of it. So now when it comes in, I'm not afraid. I know what it is. It's just TMS pain, which is like we've all heard of phantom limb syndrome. So someone loses a limb, but they still have throbbing pain in that limb.
Yes.
This is what this pain is. It's just learned pain, nothing to fear. I'm not broken. It actually won't harm me. It's just tension. And just to ignore it or to tend to my body. Like, what do I need? I think I need rest. I'm exhausted today. I've been going and doing so much. I'm tired. My body is maybe saying, I'm tired. I'm grieving a relationship right now. I'm sad. Life is hard sometimes. So it makes sense that I would have
Yeah.
some pain because we all have pain. And for, I think, highly sensitive people like us, or maybe like most of us in
Oh
this
my
world,
God.
we're all connected. We actually, our bodies will physically express pain too because they're interconnected. And that's why I think Western medicine often fails us. They're just looking at this like tiny little part, but it's like the mind and the body really do work together. And the more positive mindset I have, and the more nervous regulation I do, the more spiritual work I do, the more self love work I do, take care of myself physically, mentally, and spiritually, the lighter I feel in my body, the less pain I have. Um, and so I realize it's like it's so connected. And if
Yeah.
people out there are like, I don't feel depressed or anxious or anything, I've heard that story too. Actually, when you try to dig in, you might realize, oh, I am anxious, or I am overwhelmed, or I am not living my truth, or I haven't gone there, I haven't looked at myself. So I've seen that too. So I think like when we're in pain, it's always going to be the body sort of talking to us, and it'll just get louder and louder. And it's very complex, and it's all a journey and a lifestyle. And I think we all want to get to the destination. It sounds cliche, but it really is in the journey of now that creates the healing. And the healing never ends. Like, that's my latest.
I agree with that completely.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's a journey, and I agree that Eastern medicine, like a lot of the things I've always, my family's from Russia. So my mom will like put like grains in a sock when someone has like, you know, like a cold, and we do all kinds of stuff. And yeah, I doubt the ability of Western medicine to heal some of this stuff. And also, what's that like line about like the world whispers before it screams or something? I don't know. I don't know what I was gonna say. However, I do think like when you listen to your body and live in your truth, like you were saying, that's when you see the most results. And I'm still trying to identify if I wasn't living in my truth. Like, did you feel like that? I think like speech therapists and doctors ask me that over and over again. Like, what was happening the 3 weeks before your voice problems? Were you happy at home? Were you happy in like your relationships? Your work, your lifestyle. Were you asked that a lot, and do you think that contributed?
Um, no, I maybe. I've definitely like asked myself those questions, and I think for me, like I can really relate to the TMS personality. So they talk about this. I'll link the podcast below that I listen to if anyone wants to educate themselves on the nature of chronic pain and TMS stuff. Because I think sometimes people with MTD can also have TMS. But for me, I have a personality type that is a high achiever, a perfectionist, a people pleaser. I put so much pressure on myself. I'm so hard on myself. I can see things in black and white, super high, unattainable expectations, comparing, judging. So these like personality traits all create a lot of pain. So for me, that's I think the perfect storm. And also at the period in my life, I just started teaching for the first time. So all of a sudden, I was talking a lot.
Yeah.
So it's like the perfect storm. And I was in an abusive relationship, but that was nothing new, unfortunately. I was going through terrible trauma since I was like 15. Um, and I think it just built and built and built, and with my personality. And then all of a sudden, I'm singing in a rock band. I'm teaching. All these pressure, 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 and I kind of exploded. My body's like. It was also I had to physically retrain my voice. I was using it. I kind of talk like this because I'm shy, and now I'm like talking like this for 5 hours. Or instead of just doing this, I'm belt screaming. I'm like scream belting. so
Yeah.
so mixing all of that together created this perfect storm. And then I slowly, and I still do to this day, tend to these areas: the people pleasing, the perfectionism, the high achieving, never feeling good enough, like these like uh, the way I see the world, making sure I'm not scream belting. So like taking vocal lessons to this day because I just love it. I've retrained my speaking voice. Uh, I don't even really, and you know, just taking care of my physical body and my emotional state. Yeah, did
Yeah, I
you?
think the pressure and people pleasing is definitely something I relate to as well. And it sounds like we were both in some new roles and had like a lot of shifts right before this happened, which kind of like to me said like maybe this isn't in alignment with who I am. And I also wonder if more females experience muscle tension dysphonia based on what you just shared, just because I feel like females often like lean more towards like people pleasing and things like that. Um,
Yeah.
yeah, it's definitely hard, but We're both talking today. You're singing all the time, which is great. And I am like much more careful with my voice. Like I did karaoke for the first time in a couple of years, and I like made my friend get on the stage and very much handed her the microphone and like just sang a little bit of mine, did a lot of stage presence because I don't know, I commend you for singing all the time. I think there is like a little bit of fear in me still with that I'd like to overcome. I don't have a good singing voice, so it's all good if I don't sing. But yeah, I do wonder that with like Mariah Carey and Adele and Steven Tyler, like they've lost their voices from singing. Do you think that's like voice overuse, or do you think there's
Yeah,
an element to that too?
yeah, it's like I would assume like with Adele, I mean I don't know, but with Adele and Steven Tyler, it was overuse. They're definitely using their voices way more than I am. And then I think they both got vocal surgeries because Adele had like a vocal hemorrhage. And Steven Tyler, I don't know. I know his lifestyle wasn't the best and just
Yeah.
singing like crazy like that. But they seem healed. I think maybe the difference is that like fear component you're mentioning. I've noticed like some singers, like my friend's a singer, and no offense to him, but he just does. I mean, he does it full time, but it sounds like he has some issues. It sounds like airy tone. He's pushing, and I'm like very tuned into the voice, so like I'm hearing everything, and I'm like, wow, he needs vocal lessons. Like if that was my voice, I'd be freaking out. I would be. I don't know what I would do if that my voice was airy and all of that, which I kind of think of as a voice problem. He doesn't notice it at all. He doesn't care. He sings every night and he's fine. And I've
Good.
noticed that in like personalities. So like people like I don't know if like Adele and Steven Tyler had a voice, they blew out their voice, they retrained it, and then they just went on with their career. Like they didn't fear re-injuring it. Like for me, I had the fear of injuring my voice before I ever injured it. That was my fear that I
Oh,
re-injured
that's
it.
really interesting.
Yeah,
Okay.
and I feel like you have a fear to sing because you'll fear
Well, that's like your main thing.
your
That makes sense. Well,
the
no,
voice.
one of your main things is like your vocal talent. Okay.
But I think it's also this like being hyper focused on the voice too, like all the sensations, the feelings, and like for me, it was thinking I will have a voice problem, and I don't know if I manifested it, but just a mixture. So just having that worry mind, I think, around the voice. And I would encourage you, like I think everyone's a singer,
Oh
because
yeah.
that's a channel to God, whatever God means to you, spirituality, singing, dancing, uh, any arts creating, this like meditative place we can get into. Singing is one of those channels. And I would say you could try like creating safe places for yourself to start trying to sing. Like you could even like be in a nice room with candles and just like putting your hands on your heart and just like telling yourself like it's safe to sing, and you could sing a little and then maybe pain will come in and say it's okay, it can be there, and just kind of gauging it that way. And
Yeah.
if you're like I'm too scared to go on, that's not a failure. Hold that fear in your arms and say that's okay, like we can take a break and sort of mother that sort of fear, instead of like and mother that pain. And I think that's like another great way to live, because we're not saying, oh, I need to get to a place where I don't feel fear anymore, or I get to a place where I don't feel pain, but it's actually creating pain resilience, I think. And like also sitting with fear and realizing this isn't going to kill me. I can survive this. And so I've been working a lot with like pain resilience and like sitting in discomfort, physical and emotional and spiritual. And it's transformative. Like instead of pushing it away, I saw someone do that yesterday. They were like, I'm going to get anxious and I hope I don't. And then she did during like this practice we did, and she was devastated by it. Um, and so like maybe looking at yourself as pieces, and you have this fearful piece, this anxious piece of you that's maybe a smaller version of yourself or whatever, and it's okay. It can like be in the car with you. Maybe you have all these pieces in the car, like, and I think of my anxiety, which is a big one for me, that creates this pain. It's like this little girl version of me with a blankie, and she's like, Liz, when you sing tonight, the pain's gonna come in. I'm so afraid. Like, I feel like terror sometimes. And then I just take that pain into my arms and say, it's okay. Like, I know what to do. Now you can go in the back seat, like, get all cozy, and I'll drive. And so you can
Yes,
be
I
there.
love that.
And like that's been so liberating for me because as someone who is an intro extrovert, I'm very introverted too.
Me
So,
too.
going on stage, I will still feel that terror sometimes coming in and panic. And, with all the meditative, all the practices I do really help me to not uh, explode and dive off the cliff. But even if that happens, like I'm saying, you can be there. This happened to me at the show the other night. And then I got up on stage and I said, anxiety, go in that corner right there, enjoy the show. And I killed it. Like I did so
Oh
well.
yeah.
I experienced so much ecstasy and pleasure. That's another thing I've been asking myself. Where do I feel joy, pleasure, and ecstasy? Because I already know where I feel pain and terror and horror. Like pro at that. I know what that feels like. But actually, what does it feel like to feel good in my body? And
Yeah.
like for me, maybe like the pain can be there and the anxiety, it can all be there. And actually, through this work, I actually have more ability to experience joy and like ecstasy and pleasure because I let myself feel the pain and terror. So like the spectrum is like
You're so
expanded.
brave. I love it.
Yeah, I guess it's like I live a brave, courageous life, and I live a rainbow life of not black and white, but of everything, and everything's allowed, and that's how I'm regulating myself now, and just feeling okay, because I'm taking away what they call the shame blanket. Like I think when we're in healing, we're like, oh, if the pain comes back, if the anxiety comes back, oh, I feel shame. Like I should be somewhere else in my healing. But I
Mhm.
learned this through a regulation app called Muscle Music. I'll link it below. It's amazing. And you just take that shame blanket off by saying, this is my humanity. And it's not going anywhere and it's not going to change. This is my biology. And it's meant to keep me safe, my anxiety, my pain. And so I'm just going to let it be there, and then I can move forward, you know? So.
Yeah. I feel like you've accepted yourself so much through this process, which is what life's all about. And yeah, I agree. Meditation is like huge. Like any anxiety I've had, I think like even like a 5 minute meditation with Jason Stevenson and you do some breath work. It's like a whole new human. Um, I think like getting myself out of the house too, because there was like a lot of, I'm a very active person. Like I have like a big social life, but at the time I really made my world smaller. And there was a lot of like, what's this person gonna think of me if I like can't talk? Uh, Not with my closest people, but with some of my people. And I took myself on a 3 week trip to Italy. Um, and Prague, and I met up with my parents, which were like a very safe space in this, like for a few days, but most of it I was by myself. And yeah, it was like less social than I like have been in Europe in the past with others, but I was still like, I remember I went for a lot of September and I remember coming back on October 1st and I felt like a different person. And I was doing like my voice exercises, but for the most part, I was just living in the moment and went for it and spent like a bunch of money that like I shouldn't have spent because I hadn't worked for so long because of all of this. But I think it was a really, really, really good thing to do for myself that definitely propelled my healing much faster. I'm not saying you have to like go to Europe. Just doing whatever sets your soul on fire and not, I don't know, just being like true to yourself, not so hard on yourself, trying to people please less. Um, and yeah, like I was really proud and happy to be the maid of honor at my best friend's wedding. But I think like just like with everything else, it was like that was like a big pressure in my mind that like she didn't do anything. It was just like built up for so many years, like this has to be perfect. and oh no, like what if I see this person and my voice isn't cool? I've never been that person. I don't really obsess about what people think of me. Like, I'm definitely not that person again now. I'm kind of just like, I love me, I accept me as long as I'm my number one fan. And I do care about like what my mom and like my closest friend and my dog thinks of me. Um, but like not really like the world at large because I'm like happy with me. So I think that's like a big part of it too. Just like be in your truth, go with the flow, believe things will work out for your greater good. And as soon as like I was open to like I was like, okay, I feel healed enough to do something career wise again, because that was strange not to work for that long. I had a girl reach out to me about marketing her online therapy business. And then I ended up becoming like a co owner of that. And I really felt like I was helping people every day. And this was just definitely a big departure from tech sales, where I was helping from people, but like in a very different way. And most recently, I launched another company called The Scoop Brands, which is like a digital marketing company. And I feel like things are more in my control, where I'm not talking all day on the phone as you do in sales. Not to say that I can't have another sales job again. Like I'm using all the time. I know I can, but it has allowed me to explore more avenues in my life, and I feel better. I did feel good about myself, but like there was definitely clearly something going on, and I feel like better and more confident in myself, which is what I'm hearing from you too. So I think like we've learned a lot through this strange and very hard and often lonely journey.
Dark night of the soul. Yeah,
Yeah.
I'm more in flow, I'm more in alignment, I'm more doing things for me.
Yeah.
And uh, I just know myself. Yeah, and yeah, I just feel like way more secure. Like life isn't happening to me anymore. Like I feel like I'm driving and I can make intentional choices and decisions for my life. And I was listening to one of the podcasts the other day. I'll link it below. It's like we ever have pain coming back in, it's like it's nice to check in, like, and ask yourself, am I people pleasing? Am I putting a lot of pressure on myself? Like, what can I take off of the table, like, to alleviate this pain? I wanted to ask you, like, do you think TMS and muscle tension dysphonia are the same thing?
Yeah, you alluded to that. I think muscle tension dysphonia, if someone just asked me to get on a stage and explain it to someone, I'm not sure I would give them like a perfect answer, because it feels like I'm in a Facebook group that I can't say I check in with too much anymore. I used to every day. Um, and people have such different symptoms that it's hard to say. I feel like it is definitely a piece of TMS. Yeah, I guess I would say they're the same thing, because I feel like it's in like a category of its own that people aren't able to necessarily define really well. So I think it is somewhat the same, because it's one of those things where like we could say we're perfectly healed, or I remember like Christina, our voice coach, she very vocally kept saying like, oh, I know I still have it, it still comes back. She has like a more high pressure life than I do. For example, now like she has like a kid, she works at the hospital, she's dealing with a lot of people's pain. um I'm not sure. uh
Yeah, it's
but
very complicated. Yeah, because I deal with a lot of people's pain too, and I say, yeah, I have pain. I even brought it up to Christina. She's saying that's not muscle tension dysphonia, that's something else, and I was frustrated. I'm like, oh, now what do I have? But immense pain, and perhaps like I'm just experiencing it a little different than Christina. But in an intuitive way, and people have also tried to diagnose me with fibromyalgia, which is just a umbrella term for I don't know what's wrong with you. So,
Mhm.
so I've been like questioning. I think some people like the TMS diagnosis. resonates and it's helpful. And I think like anyone doing the TMS work can benefit. And I think it can help because it really is TMS is chronic pain. And I think muscle tension dysphonia can be chronic. And I think the
Mm-hmm.
difference with me is I'm not in chronic pain anymore. So
Yeah.
I'll teach for 5 hours and have zero pain. And like if I can remember to congratulate myself, I'm like, oh my gosh, I have no
Oh my
pain. And
God. Let me know when you have like 5 hour days so I can send you a congratulations text. That's huge. Like,
yeah, and I'm also like not very careful with my voice anymore. I don't vocally exercise it every day. I am a vocal coach, so I guess it's just my focus. But yeah, I've been questioning that. Like, how can I alleviate more pain? Like, because I think I've gotten to a plateau where I'm like, oh, I'll just live with this. But then I start questioning that. I'm like, well, I guess I can live with it. I'm living a happy life, but what's next? So for me, it's nervous system regulation, like understanding my biology, and also mindset work. And you mentioned it, which is another synchronicity, is like manifesting and
yeah.
intuition work. So like I want to lead less. I notice the more I'm in my mind and I'm more like on social media and just like those kind of practices that are not natural, I get so wound up and tight in my body and my mind.
Yeah.
So I've been really working on living more in my heart and like learning and educating myself. Like, how can I be intuitive and like just respond to my environment instead of like try to think of all these plans and that just feels tighter. I guess intuitively and also intuitively, like I feel like my pain like is my mindset a lot of the time. So I will often have a mindset of, oh, I got to go to work today. Oh, it's gonna be terrible. I get very nervous. I don't know how I'm gonna help. Oh gosh. And I just see that, and I'm like, that's how I see the world right now, and that's painful. And it creates like a little panic and discomfort, and then pain. So yeah, I'm just working on nervous system regulation, mindset, and intuitive work, which intuitive work is spiritual work. And you were saying like it's important to have a spiritual practice and to stay on top of it. And I think like spirituality has just become like a one of the most important things for me to focus on and work on,
Yeah.
spirituality.
Same, and it's so fun. I love it. I love like thank you for being vulnerable and sharing. It makes it easier for me to share. I think spirituality podcasts, your podcast. Um, Maria Menounos has a really good one called Heal Squad, and she's really into like Joe Dispenza and Abraham Hicks and a lot of like great people in the space who she interviews. And I just love her pod. I feel like that helps a lot. And she went through like a brain tumor and cancer and like all of these crazy, like really difficult things. And the confidence she had with healing it and getting through it and the positivity she has is just great. Like Jay Shetty is a great one. I think like most people are familiar with it. On Purpose with Jay Shetty. Mindset Mentor is a good podcast. And for me, like I already live near the beach, but I like literally can see the beach from my window every day. I swim, I go on walks. I do think that like the pressure of modern day and jobs and like friends' lives more than mine, but I can see them being pulled by like 1,000 directions with like, hey, help me with this, do this, my mom needs this, my nephew needs that. And I can think of friends off the top of my head who I love so much, who I'm like, I don't feel like you guys are taking like a day to yourself a month, like once a month, let alone once a week. And I remember I saw Allie Raisman speak at a women's conference in Boston, and she said, if you don't have 10 minutes to meditate, like you better take 20 minutes to meditate. um, and like, I just think there is nothing more important in our lives than like our health and mindset. I like you, I like to have like a fun life and a very like my best friend and I made last year our year first. We did a lot of things for the first time. We did goat yoga. I know you do yoga. That's like a big one. Animals, and yoga together. What's more healing than that? Maybe something for someone else, but for me, that's perfection. Um, and yeah, I don't know. I feel like this world definitely tries to get people to care about like traditional things a lot, like work for someone else, overwork, people please, make money, and like to a point that's important. Like I think it's important to have like something that fulfills you, and all of that fun stuff. But I think like at the end of the day, and I do believe we have many lives. This could be like another podcast episode, so we won't go like deep on it. But I do think like you get just like maybe the pain is here, then it's in your wrist, and that's TMS. You get taught the same lesson in different ways until you learn it. And that may be, you know, in terms of somebody that is in your life for a while, it could be a relationship, it could be a chronic or not chronic illness, depending on how you look at it. And I think losing my voice was one of the hardest things I've ever faced in life, but it did lead, as with you, to so much growth and understanding of myself and definitely of others in a way where, like, yeah, I am feeling like a person, like more intuitive. And I don't even like, I think like you and I have been through it. So, like, we get it. But yeah, when I see people prioritizing, like, their jobs over their health over and over again, I want to be like, no, like stop, like I don't know. I want to shake them and like help them understand better. So that's kind of where I'm at with all of this. So it was a long journey. I'm thankful for it, and also like it sucked. And here we are.
Yeah, it's like even the mindset of about our pain can be like so helpful on our journey. Like, and yeah, and also being honest, yeah, it sucks. It's like the worst thing ever. Like that can
Yeah,
happen to someone.
very
And I,
awkward.
yeah, I'm noticing like I'm 37 and losing my mom. She has vascular dementia, and that's harder than the voice problem. So I would say this is my new hardest pain issue that I have, or whatever, what grief. Grief is like I've never experienced it before, and I'm realizing in my mindset there's so many ways I could like see this grief with my mom, and the mindset that I've chosen to see it as is a spiritual one, and my mom's going through a transition, and like and I'm there every month now, and the memories we're making are glorious, and I'm like so present in the moment, and I'm like sitting with pain and having pain resilience, and I'm like, wow, I'm not gonna die from this, and my mother's love, and she is in me, and I see her in my face, and it's so like just looking at it that way, where I can see I could look at it differently, like life is unfair, there is no God, you're taking my mom from me so young. It's like, and having that mindset, you can let pain destroy you, or you can let it break you apart, and like all this light starts shining through, and you put yourself back together and to this more like my capacity to love, because I'm sitting with grief and like staring it in the face and bravely being there, has opened up my heart to love in a way that I've never loved before, and like to be there for like my mother in a way that I could never be there. And so like seeing pain like in that light like also helps with like seeing like my voice pain in that light, that pain is not there to destroy us. Maybe it is there to destroy us and like put us back together. Not to say that like losing my mom isn't a horrific, terrible, unfair thing, and I scream, cry, and let myself feel all of those, the terrible grief, and I survive it. And I'm like, oh my gosh, I survived. And I just wanted to bring that up just because it's my latest experience with pain that I perceive as even greater than losing my voice,
Yeah,
or
I'm
maybe
so
similar.
sorry.
Yeah. Yeah, so it sucks, but like this is the human condition. We all like have to go through pain and grief. And like I guess it's like how do we actually figure out ways to see it in a way that will serve us, and how can we um, create a relationship with it that's actually beautiful. So I don't know if
I
that
think
makes
the
sense.
strength,
But, yeah.
no, it does. I think like the strength and outlook that you have now, like maybe as a result of like learning this from your MTD and voice, is helping your mom a lot. So
Yeah.
it's
Mindset
really
too.
sad.
It is mindset, just like spiritual mindset, and just knowing that, like, yeah, this is just like a great opportunity for me to get closer to death and my own mortality. Like, I never thought I would ever age or die. Like, no one ever talked to me about that when I was a kid, or my mom didn't sit with me and say, one day I will die and you will be by yourself. And so now just harnessing, like, my safety is within me, my mother is within me, that all that love is in me, God is in me, and cultivating all of that is like such a beautiful gift as someone who always looked to everyone else to save me, even with my voice problem, like, save me. And then realizing, through working with people, I'll save myself,
Yeah.
and through community. So it's about realizing you're your own savior. Only you know the answers deep within, and then cultivating that community, uh, and asking for help at the same time. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So
That's such a healthy outlook. God, I can't imagine
because
how
I was so unhealthy, I came from a place of wanting to kill myself, of being bulimic, anorexic, cutting, pulling my hair out, ripping chunks of my skin out. And from that place, I've gotten here because, I've been in such suffering and despair. It's like I just can't live that way anymore. Like, I see some people live their whole lives that way. Like, someone in
yeah.
my family lives their life that way, and they're old now, and I'm just like, that's not going to be me. Like, I'm going to be aware, and I'm going to be honest with myself, and I'm going to keep shifting my mindset, and I'm going to see things. I'm going to see the beauty in everything, and I'm going to make the most delicious lemonade out of these lemons that I could ever make, because this is my one beautiful, precious life. And yeah, maybe we go on and have other lives, but this is the life I'm living today. And like, I want it to be great. And like, I'm the only one that can make it great.
Oh, that's beautiful. Yes, this is, I think, our only lives as Liz and Leah. Um, oh, that's beautiful. That is inspiring. You're once again inspiring me and everyone who will listen to this. So, yeah, what an awesome journey and
It was
hard
such a
journey.
great chat. And
Yeah.
I hope you feel okay talking about everything today. And I think you've helped
So
so.
helpful. I feel like more open now. Like if I did this again now, I feel more. Because like I mentioned, I was having like slight nerves just because it's something I hadn't tapped into in a while. And I think this is really good. And you and I connect and relate on this and have had similar but different experiences and come out with a lot of the same conclusions. So I think there's something there, and that's something that can help someone if they're on day one of this, and if they can make this a journey that, I don't remember how long it was for me, like a year, year and a half ish. If instead for them, this could be like a few week journey, or cut some time down just to focus on like being in the moment and living life and being happy and being in your truth, then hell yeah. So if you're listening to this, you got this. You're gonna get better. And yeah, life is good.
Yeah, and the journey never ends. So
The journey never ends. Keep working on yourself, keep growing, and keep like improving yourself, and others around you will like respond to that and it'll make your relationships better.
yeah, and I just want to end with, like, if someone out there is watching, they're like, "Oh, I don't believe in like any of the spiritual stuff or meditation and yoga." Like, again, it's just like, just keep going down the rabbit hole, educating yourself on physical health, emotional health, and spiritual health, and ask yourself, what does that mean for you, And that's how you heal, not just by copying what other people do, but being inspired, and then asking yourself those questions, and then like following your truth and following your pleasure and like following your yes.
Your yes. I always say that. That's an Abraham Hicks thing too. If it's not a hell yes, it's a hell no. So you follow your
Yeah.
yes. Yeah, be
Flexibility.
creative, walk your dog, be with your family, be with yourself, be with your friends,
Hmm.
sing, meditate, get acupuncture,
Yeah.
dance, do whatever makes you feel most like you.
Yeah.
I'll be okay.
All right. Well, so amazing talking to you today, and I'm so
Yeah.
happy for you, and you are doing so amazing.
As are
And
you. We've made huge progress since we met, so. I'm proud of both of us. And thank you. Thank you for this opportunity. It was like very healing, and I'm feeling very, you know how you always like have to look at like how do you feel after you talk to someone? I always feel better after I talk to you. So thank you for that.
Oh, you're welcome. All right. Well, we'll talk soon and have an
Thank
amazing
you.
day.
All right. Bye.